Filled with incredible landscapes and jaw-dropping views, Canada may be a nice country to live in. At least this is the first impression that many foreigners have. And then there is the entire universal healthcare thing, something that is often a reason for jokes and memes between Canadians and Americans. But what about the costs? Does universal healthcare is enough to compensate for the explosive housing crisis Canada is currently experiencing? Get ready for an honest discussion on living and retirement in Canada. Our team prepared this episode about Canada after similar pieces about other places like Italy, Netherlands, and so on. Check them in our previous videos. So first, let's talk about the pros of living and retiring in Canada. The standard of living. Canada has a very high standard of living compared to many other Western countries. With a low crime rate and a healthy population, the life expectancy of the average Canadian citizen is in the early 80s. Pollution in Canada is also very low, with the World Health Organization ranking the country as having one of the world's highest rankings for air quality. It's also one of the safest countries in the world to live in, unless you live in Toronto or Vancouver, but about that we'll talk later. Healthcare system. Canadian citizens and permanent residents have access to Canada's universal healthcare services system, which is readily available through the country. All forms of medical care are covered, except for prescriptions, dental, and vision health. But there has been a lot of controversy lately about Canadian authorities recommending things like euthanasia as a medical treatment. I would like to know what you think about that in the comments section. Foreigners need to wait until they become permanent residents to receive free healthcare. Until then, it's necessary to purchase an international health insurance to cover any treatment. Infrastructure. Due to the vast scale of the country, the roads are very well developed and are of excellent quality. Airports are also not as bad as in the US. The lifestyle. The country is known for its incredible natural beauty, landscapes, and wildlife, perfect for outdoor lovers. The climate in the continental part leans more toward winter sports and winter recreation. So if you enjoy skiing like me, hiking and cold weather sports, then this is a great place to live. So enough about the pros. Let's talk about the dark part, the cons of living in Canada. And first comes the taxes. Far from the US, be aware that all services offered by the Canadian government, like the universal healthcare system mentioned before, also mean a heavier tax structure. The income taxes in some provinces can be more than 50% in the higher brackets. Mind-blowing. The cost of living. Large cities such as Vancouver and Toronto are especially cost to live in, so it may be necessary to avoid these cities as place to set up a home. The housing crisis. The housing situation in Canada is getting very scary. Real estate and rental costs are rising steadily and quickly in large and medium cities. A new report from Bloomberg shows that prices for a roof doubled in only 10 years, and that is the average. Toronto and Vancouver have the least affordable houses in entire North America. The national supply gap is believed to be a whopping 3.5 million more homes than is expected to be built by 2030. And this is on top of what is already planned to be built. So the constant rise in real estate prices with an annual growth rate of 9.2% to 10% the last decade has made it impossible for many people to have a roof over their head. Prices are going up so fast that many people can't afford a place to live, which makes the problem of homelessness worse. And that leads to increasing criminality, which is our next problem. Increasing criminality in large cities. Toronto has witnessed a 20.7% uptick in major crimes in 2023 compared to the same period in 2022. Noteworthy increases include auto thefts, surging by incredible 37.7%. Vancouver's situation mirrors this, with both cities observing a distressing rise in criminal activities, contributing to an atmosphere of insecurity and concerns among residents. But who is to blame? Probably, the two major culprits are the housing crisis and fentanyl. But one thing must be said. This is not valid for every city in Canada. There are many cities, especially smaller ones, and larger. There are many cities yet, especially smaller ones, that are not affected by these problems. So if you're looking for a place to live in Canada, what we could recommend? I will give you 3 options. But before we begin, I would like to ask a small favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be a great incentive for us to keep delivering these reports prepared by our team. The best places to live in Canada, especially if you don't mind, is likely boring places. Canmore, Alberta. If you love an active lifestyle, then Canmore is the perfect place to retire to. There are plenty of activities that you can try your hand at, including hiking, skiing, cycling, bird watching, rafting, and many more. There are over 70 kilometers of trails to explore, so much to keep you busy if you decide on moving to Alberta. The average cost of living, excluding rent, is around $1,407 per month. Halifax, in Nova Scotia. This is the largest city in our top 3. It's an upbeat coastal city with plenty of fresh seafood on offer and lots of water activities such as fishing. Halifax has mild winters and a fresh sea breeze in the summer. The city is also a low-cost alternative to major urban centers like Toronto or Ottawa. Housing prices and property taxes are relatively affordable here, and the average cost of living, excluding rent, is around $1,444 Canadian dollars per month. Bottom line, you can purchase more with the same income. Kelowna in British Columbia. Kelowna is the perfect place to retire if you want to meet other retirees and become part of a big community, as over 18% of the population there are retirees. Housing can be a little more expensive if you want to live in the heart of the city, but if money isn't an issue, then this is a great place to get a good mix of nature, city life, good wine, and a quiet lifestyle. Now that you know about the pros, cons, and best places of Canada, I strongly recommend you to watch this video here about the dark side of Toronto, or this other one here,